Small things that, if ignored, can eat away at our success. How many of you know success is not an accident? Specific people do specific things, and that's how they end up successful. It doesn't mean because you're a Christian, you're automatically successful. And many times we misunderstand that the person of Jesus guarantees us salvation, but the principles of Jesus in his word, if you don't apply them, then success is not guaranteed. I like what Ralph Waldo Emerson said. He said, no one can cheat you out of ultimate success except yourself. The first thing we need to apply in our lives, and if we lack this, we could fail, and many people have this, it's a lack of intentional living. A lack of living intentionally. People allow their lives to just unfold and unravel instead of living them intentionally with a clear picture and a clear strategy of who and where they want to be. They don't live their lives by design, they live it by default. And they drift along and wonder why they don't get to where they need to be. As a result of that, you find people whose lives aren't clear to them as to where they want to go, lack energy. If today you find yourself energyless and you're lacking enthusiasm, it's because you don't know where you want to go and you don't know who you want to be. You're lacking what's called intentional living. When you have intentional living, you wake up in the morning and you go, yes, I know what I want to be today. So you read, you study, you act, you buy, you lend, you sell, you work, and at the end of the day you go to bed, right, tomorrow. But when you don't have that, there's no enthusiasm. Clarity and goals give enthusiasm, and they cause creativity to arise. Now, Jesus wants to know from you today, what is it that you want? Many Christians are like, Lord, whatever you want. God's going, it's not up to me, it's up to you. What do you want? In fact, a very interesting story we need to read in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 20. Notice it says 2 blind men were sitting by the roadside. Underline the words sitting by the roadside, because that's where too many Christians are. They're on the road to success, but they've sat down on the roadside. And they've lost their vision and a spirit of intentionality. It says they were sitting there, and when they heard that Jesus was going by, they shouted. I mean, it's not enough to shout and talk about where you want to go. It's not enough to make a noise and complain. We need more than that. And they shouted, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us. The crowd rebuked them and told them to be quiet. Underline the word the crowd, because that tells you the majority doesn't want you to succeed. The majority wants you to live in mediocrity with them on the side of the road. But God wants to know from you a key thing today, and here we see it in the next verse. It says, they shouted all the louder, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us. Jesus stopped and called them. What do you want me to do for you? Underline the words, what do you want me to do for you? He is asking them what they wanted. Now, isn't that a bit of a silly question? Firstly, he's the Son of God and he knows everything. Secondly, they're obviously blind. So why is he asking them, what do you want me to do for you? Very interesting question. Let's finish the text and I'll tell you what the reason is. In verse 33, they said, Lord, they answered, we want our sight. Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes, and immediately they received their sight and followed him. They had decided that they wanted something. Jesus wanted to know, what is it you really want? And then when they explained it, he gave it to them. Now here's the key. I think sometimes when we ask for things, we don't actually realize what we're asking for. You see, if these guys really knew what they were asking, Jesus was making sure, you really want this? Because once I open your eyes, no more donations, no more sitting by the side of the road, no more charity, no more gifts and handouts. You're going to have to get up and go and look for a job, and no one's going to have sympathy. Are you sure you want your sight? And you see, for everything you want, when you say, Lord, this is what I want in life, God's ready to act. But he wants you to know, hey, you need to think about what you really want. And many people don't want success because it's too tough. If you're not living intentionally, it could be, number one, that you're unsure of what you really want. We can be so unsure of what we want. We don't know who we want to be or where we're going, and we've never written it down. You need to write down who you want to be and where you're going. And God will bless those desires. Number two, we are unsure of the will of God. Many Christians say to me, well, what if the Lord doesn't want me to be a, and then they'll give their career name or business they want to own, and they're almost like unsure, if I decide to do this, how do I know that God is not, my will be done? I'll tell you, the will of God is extremely simple. Don't complicate it. Jesus always simplified things for us, didn't he? He told us in Mark's gospel that everything that God wants from us is summed up in one commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So here's what. You want to open a business. You want to know if it's the will of God. Summarizing it like this. Will it glorify God and will it help people? I want to open an accounting firm. Will it glorify God? Will you do it? Will you run it with excellence and not bring shame on the name of the Lord? Will you treat your employees properly? And will you help people and not cheat them and deliver late and make excuses? Will you glorify God and help you? Go ahead. Want to open a fast food place? How do I know if it's the Lord? Well, have you got the gifts and skills, firstly, because that's a tricky business? Then will it glorify God and help people? Too many of us are like waiting on the Lord, Lord. Thy will be done. Not even Jesus lived like that. You're more spiritual than him. Sometimes our spirituality excuses us from responsibility.